Welcome to CDS Studios. We are doing a cast-on comb. I have a piece of wood that is about 3/4 inch by a 1/4 inch. I have holes drilled every 16 millimeters. It's every other needle, and I have 48 holes drilled, so that'll give me enough for 96 stitches. Now I do have smaller ones. They range from 5 to on up. But this one happens to be a 96 stitches. Now you can take a paper clip and you'll straighten one bend out. And what you're going to do is you need to decide whether you want to use the small hook or the large hook. It is your preference. And you want it about 1.5 inches long from the top of the hook to the base. Now you will need some wire cutters, and I like using my needle nose. Just cut it so that it's from the top of the hook to the base 1.5 inches. Okay, that just marks it right there, and cut it to separate it. Now you'll need one for every hole. Now I am redoing mine, so mine's already been bent and cut. They'll just put a little dab of glue on the hole and slip the hook in. Now I want them all the same height, so I'm going to use a ruler, and this is just a simple 50-cent ruler. It's just about the right width, and I'm using that as like a template is what I'm using it as. That way they're all going to be the same height, and it's about 1 inch tall. So you've got a 1/2 inch of the pin going down into the hole and 1 inch coming up. Now I am using Gorilla Glue Super Glue. I've tried craft glue. It didn't work that well. I've tried hot glue gun. See, it's just a little tube of Gorilla Super Glue. I've used hot glue gun, which worked for a short time, but after a while the glue got a little bit brittle and broke off. So I'm trying Gorilla Glue Super Glue this time. We shall see. It takes 30 seconds for it to set. Now I've already got it opened. Just put a drop of glue into the hole, and I usually do about 3 holes at a time, only because it only takes about 30 seconds for this stuff to dry, so I want to give myself time to put my hooks into the hole. So I take my hook, excuse my hand, take my ruler, and what I'm setting it in, you'll see in a minute. I'm setting the ruler into the hook onto the ruler, so the ruler is going to hold it 1 inch apart from the base of my wood. And I just put a drop of glue and hook it onto the ruler. Now make sure that you do not put a glob of glue where it attaches to the ruler, because it'll be difficult to get off at that point. Now I've started in the middle, mainly because I wasn't sure if I had enough glue. And I use my needle nose jewelry pliers if I have to adjust my hole. Which, if you're using paper clips new, you won't have to do that. But I'm recycling my other one because the prongs were too long, so now I'm shortening the prongs. So I'm just lining it up, glue 3 holes, put in my pegs, and move on. And I do that for all the holes, which are 48 holes. And these are every other needle. And when I get this done, I will use my rag hem as to hold my weights in place, which I do have a video on that under rag hem, and there are others online that have it. So I just put a drop of glue in, position my hook so it's hanging on the ruler and into the hole. Now, if my prong, my pin is a little bit bent, I might need to whack it to go down, and I just use the edge of my pliers. You could use a small hammer if you wanted to use the correct tool, but I use what I have on hand. And I move the ruler a little bit so that I make sure it doesn't stick to the glue. And I just put a drop of glue into 3 holes. And once I get them all in, I'm going to run another drop of glue down, because this drop gets pushed down in, and I want one across the top to make sure that it holds better for me. And I just keep doing this for each of my prongs, and you can make this any size, because I have a large one. That's what I'm working with right this minute, but it does come in handy if you have one like about 80 pins. No, 80 stitches, which is 40 pins. That is great if you're making a hat, or if you're doing socks, or mittens, you want one with about 37 prongs. See, I have one for just about any, whatever project I happen to be working on. I don't have just one cast on comb, because if I'm doing something little, see, I have to rebend some of these, because I'm using paper clips that I have already bent and used once. You won't have that issue if you're starting fresh, but I am recycling these. So some of them are bent, and so I might have to work them into it. And I just work my way down. I'm going to try another ruler, but it's the right width, height-wise, but it's thicker than the other ruler, so I'm not going to use it. So I'll just push this ruler out, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So I just put another drop. I'm going to try to keep these 3 drops where I'm putting the drops in the center of the camera. If I don't, I do apologize up front. Okay, yeah, see, I'm going to try it again, so excuse my hand. I'm just pushing it down into the hole. Yeah, it's not, doesn't quite work. But I tried. Now, if I had started with that one, it would have been fine, but I didn't. So I'm just pushing the base out so it clears the, there we go. I'm just pushing it out so it clears the piece of white wood. And it's just a piece of pine that someone did for me. He drilled holes 16 millimeters apart, because this is an 8 millimeter machine. And then I just knock it out. Be careful of that where I put glue in, so you don't want to touch it. Okay. Twist it so it hooks onto the top of the ruler. And if you have to bang it in, just, just tap it lightly. It won't take much to go down. And I use these pliers are my jeweler's pliers. Figured that way you wouldn't have to see my fingers. Just hold it down. Now if it's, see how that one's a little bent? So I'm gonna have to use, I'm gonna have to push it down. And just work it down. I do 3 at a time. If I have to adjust my hook, I'll do so now. Which as I told you, if you're starting with new, you won't have that problem. I'm just bending the hook because, like I said, like I've told you previously, I'm using recycled hooks. These are these are paper clips that I've used. They were just too long. They were like 2 inches. Okay, let's get that in position so you can see what I'm doing. Just put a little drop in each hole. Careful not to touch the ruler. Just work your way down. I started in the middle and then just worked my way out. And like I said, that's mainly because I wasn't sure if I didn't know how much glue I was going to be using. Now, if you've got regular Gorilla Glue, that will probably work also. We will find out how well this one works. Just line it up and push it down using the 1-inch ruler as my gauge. What that'll do, as I said, is it puts a half an inch down into the wood with the glue. Then once I get this side done, I'll let it set for a bit and I'll do the other side. What I'll do is I'll run some glue on that middle section that we did, that the ruler's already out of. I'll just put a little drop of glue on each one of the above the holes.